US Homeland Security has defended the fatal shooting of US citizen Alex Pretty as a means of self-defence, a claim which many officials are disputing and instead calling for the removal of ICE agents from Minneapolis.
Federal agents shot and killed a man near Nicollet and 26th Street in South Minneapolis around 9 Saturday morning, following weeks of tensions over a surge in ICE enforcement actions. The shooting, which was recorded on video from several angles, was the third shooting involving federal immigration agents in Minneapolis this month. An agent shot and killed Renee Good on January 7th.
If the goal was to achieve peace and safety, this is doing exactly the opposite.
Like, what's happening is terrifying. It's very, very scary. You think this could happen to me. I could be filming a deportation and I could end up dead.
So today, federal agents beat and then shot multiple times and killed 37-year-old Alex Jeffrey Pretty, a U.S. citizen, a Minneapolis resident, and a VA nurse.
The Department of Homeland Security says Border Patrol agents were looking for an undocumented man wanted for a violent assault when Pretty approached the agents with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun, which he has a legal permit to carry.
This individual went and impeded their law enforcement operations, attacked those officers, had a weapon on him, and dozens of rounds of ammunition, wishing to inflict harm on these officers, coming brandishing like that and impeding their work that they were doing.
Video available right now does not show Pretty moving toward agents with a gun. Governor Tim Walz renewed his call for ICE to pull out of Minnesota.
And I call on all Americans to see the decency that this state is exhibiting and the horrific cruelty, unprofessional, absolute abomination that is passing for what these ICE agents are doing on our streets.
In a post, President Trump accused Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey and Governor Walz of inciting insurrection with their pompous, dangerous, and arrogant rhetoric. The Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension says DHS blocked agents from the crime scene despite the state agency presenting a signed warrant. Saturday afternoon, the Hennepin County Sheriff and Minneapolis Mayor asked the governor to deploy the Minnesota National Guard to aid and reinforce law enforcement.
Let's turn our attention back to the United States, where unrest is continuing. And Joe Siracusa, our political analyst, joins me for a little more now. What do you make of what's going on right now at the moment? It's just the next chapter, isn't it, Joe, in these ongoing stoushes that are running between, protesters, if you like, civilians, innocents, and ICE agents?
Good morning, Pete. Yeah, it is a really bad chapter, as a matter of fact. But look, you and I and other people who watch the news, we could see this coming. We have 3,000 ICE agents in Minneapolis, a city of about 430,000, with only 600 cops. A couple of years ago, some genius decided to defund the police. So we got police who aren't getting any cooperation from the federal authorities. The federal authorities, which are not helping the police at all. And we got politicians saying that their citizens are being killed. Now, look, it's quite clear that both sides are going to have to stand down on this. I think the ICE agents are going to have to cool it. I think the people who are protesting are going to have to tamp this thing down too. And look, I know this guy was shot 10 times, and he didn't put up a fight. I saw this in the 60s when the police opened fire on the anti-war protesters and the civil rights movement like this. So I've seen this story before. The thing is that bringing a gun to a peaceful protest is probably not a good idea, even if the Second Amendment allows him to carry a gun. You got a lot of these. It's just a bad idea.
No, well, that's the point. I mean, but this is the problem, isn't it? When the Second Amendment. It is the right to bear arms, but that's not the case in all instances, is it, Joe? I mean, that's not something that you and I would do. Is to take a gun to a protest because, and having been to these things, and I was talking to Michael Ware before, having been to these sort of protests where tensions are running high and these ICE agents and American police, they're not mucking around, and they've only got split-second decisions. These things can happen. I mean, not saying it's okay, but that's just how things are right now.
Yeah, and once they draw their weapons and adrenaline starts pumping, they barely have control over what happens next. But look, this is nothing new. In 1968, after Martin Luther King was killed, there were riots all over America, and in Chicago, Mayor Daley, the Democratic Mayor Daley that I grew up with, ordered the Chicago police to shoot looters and to maim protesters. So this idea of going after your own citizens in a moment of desperation, there's nothing new. I mean, America hasn't gone down a new road. This is an old road. And as you know, America's a very violent place. Or as Stokely Carmichael used to say, it's as violence is American as cherry pie. And so, people are going to just have to cool this. Now, the New York Times has come out this morning and said that the Trump administration is lying to them and they need a congressional investigation. So I'd like to see Congress sort of buffer, come to the party here and sort of buffer the federal government from everybody else or separate the parties, put them in their own corners. But look, there's going to be more of this, but I think Donald Trump's going to have to be very careful here politically because he's coming up to the midterms, and this could be very, very bad news when the Democrats return to government in November 2026.
Yeah, most incumbents generally go backwards. That's what history tells us when it comes to the midterms. But by how much this time, we'll see. Joe, thank you.